I started a food business from home, and within 10 months, I was able to go from making my pastries in my home kitchen, literally right there, to owning my own cafe. And I was able to do so because I made 3 major changes in my life. And I'm gonna tell you what those 3 changes were so that you can make the same 3 changes and hopefully you can achieve your dreams as well. I already knew that I wanted some major change in my life. I was living in Seattle at the time. I had been in Seattle for 5 years and I was working at a job with a small local farmer. I actually really loved my job. I mean, I sold fruit for a living. It was pretty cool. But I just realized that it wasn't my passion anymore. And I wasn't happy living in Seattle. So I knew I needed to make some major changes. I spent the past 3 years traveling to Hawaii during my off season, and I fell in love with the islands. I decided that what I really wanted was to move to Hawaii and spend my life there. But then the pandemic started. So my life plans kind of honestly just blew up in my face and I didn't know what to do. But fast forward to August 2020 and I finally make the move to Kailua-Kona on Hawai'i Island. All I really knew was that I wanted to get a nice paying job and I just wanted to start selling my pastries and I wanted to get into a farmer's market to do so. So I basically spent August and September of 2020 just applying to jobs and applying to my local farmers markets. And basically I got rejected from all of the farmers markets and pretty much every job that I applied to. But then in September 2020, and actually on my birthday, I got a phone call from one of the farmers markets and they told me that they accepted my application. I set up a little booth and I started selling my pastries at the farmer's market. To be honest with you, it was kind of really embarrassing because I made so many pastries. I literally made trays of lemon bars. I actually made 3 different types of cookies. I made a cookie with a regular dough, a gluten-free version, a gluten-free, sugar-free version. I made so many different pastries and I barely sold anything. I could do a whole video on, that whole experience, but I will probably save that for another time because there's, I think, a lot that I can talk about there from my first experience at the farmer's market and what I learned and how I grew from that. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about how I went from that first moment at the farmer's market to opening my own cafe 9 months later. And I was able to do so because of the 3 changes that I made in my life. I'm going to tell you what those 3 changes are. But before I do so, I first need to explain what happened that inspired me to make those 3 changes. The job hunt sucks. I was miserable during it. I hate writing cover letters and I'm a writer. I was just growing tired of sending so many emails to mentors, previous coworkers, asking people I hadn't talked to in years or random strangers on the internet, tweeting at them, asking them if they had a job or if I could get an interview with them. Okay, but then something awesome happened and I found a really cool job as a marketing manager for a private club here in Hawaii. The job paid really well. It was $90,000 a year. And I really wanted the job. I applied and I actually made it to the final round interview. It came down to me and one other woman and, well, I didn't get picked. And not getting chosen for that job really devastated me. I was so sad. I cried so much. I basically gave up on my job search after that. I just felt like a big loser. I was 30 years old. I had been applying to so many jobs. I was tired of being unemployed and I just felt really sad. Even though I know I would have hated the job because the truth of it was that it was literally just a party planning marketing job, planning happy hours, planning a pineapple ring toss event. It was basically a marketing job towards billionaires to get them to buy another $20 million home. I would have hated it. But When they told me their offer at $85,000 or $86,000 a year, I was like, you didn't tell me anything else. Like, I'll take it. I'll do whatever you want. I need that kind of money in my life. But you see, that's the thing, right? I was driven by the money. I wasn't driven by my heart. And honestly, maybe they saw through that. Maybe that's why I didn't get the job. So this was at the end of 2020 in December. And that's when I made the first of 3 changes that would allow me to accomplish my dreams and have my own cafe within 10 months. And so the first change that I made in my life is that I decided to shift my focus to just focus on my dream. Because I had been spending all this other time trying to do other things. And all of that was just taking away from focusing on what my dream was. Because what was my dream? My dream was not to be a marketing manager. My dream was not to be a copywriter. My dream was definitely not to be a marketing manager for a bunch of billionaires. And to be honest, my dream was not to make $90K a year. And so when I asked myself, what would make my heart happy? I said, my dream is to have my own cafe. That's been my dream for 8 years. So what I learned is that you have to shift your focus on actually achieving your dream if you want to be successful. So at the end of 2020 in December, I decided that in January, I was going to put my job hunt on pause, just going to shift my focus onto doing one thing, which was making my dream come true. So what that meant was that everything that I was going to do, every decision I was going to make needed to be something that moved me forward towards making my dream of having my own cafe come true. And so that's exactly what I did. I spent all of January working on my recipes, making more pastries, and trying to get into more farmers markets. And I don't think it's a coincidence that as soon as I shifted my focus to focusing on my dream, I got into 2 more farmers markets. So now I was in 3 farmers markets, and I started making more pastries. And then I made the second change in my life that helped me make my dream come true. The second change that you have to make in your life if you want to be successful in starting your business is that you have to invest in yourself using actual money, your money. You have to invest in yourself with your own money if you want to be successful. And the other thing I was able to do by investing in myself is I was able to hire 2 of my friends to help me make the pastries. What ended up happening too is that rolling dough so often, so many times, really took a toll on my body, and I actually injured myself. I injured my right shoulder from rolling dough so much. So that was kind of when I reached a breaking point, and I thought, okay, I've got to make a decision here. What am I going to do? Am I going to keep moving forward with this baking business and, achieving my dream of owning my own cafe? Or am I going to go back on the job hunt and start looking for a job, because I kind of need to make a decision at this point. And business was going well, but I needed to make more Pop-Tarts. And in order to do so, I needed more space. I needed a commercial kitchen. So I went and I saw about 4 or 5 different spaces before I ended up in the one that I'm currently at. Now, before I tell you the final change that I made, I need to first back up for a moment and explain something else. Remember that the first change I made was that I was going to shift my focus in my life to focus on making my dream come true. At this time, I had met a couple who owned a gelato shop, and I had actually reached out to them to see if I could sublet their kitchen space to make my pastries out of them. And they were awesome. We really hit it off, but their landlord wouldn't let me sublet from them because of COVID, and they just didn't want too many people in the building. It was just a bummer because they had a really large cafe, and it was connected to this restaurant that was a little bit smaller that also had a kitchen space in it. But again, there was just too many people in the building, and they just didn't want to have another person. So I wasn't allowed to sublet the kitchen from them. And then one day in March, the gelato shop owners reached out to me and told me that the small restaurant that was connected to their business had closed and the space was available. And so they asked me if I wanted to come by and see it. And when I saw it, I instantly knew that I wanted it. It was my dream space. It was so perfect. Now, the reason I wanted to back up and tell you this is because of something the gelato shop owners said to me. They told me that they were impressed with how driven I was and how focused I was on my business and making my dream come true. They watched as I got into 2 more farmers market and just hustled doing the 3 markets, and told me that they saw how focused I was on my business and that it made them want to help me. So when the spot became available, I was the first person they reached out to because they saw that I was focused and I was really doing what I said I was going to do. And so that's how I got that opportunity. I like to think that it was just dumb luck, that it was just blind luck that I got it. But the more I thought about it, I realized that it wasn't just luck. It's because I was focused and I was driven, and they saw that I was investing in myself. So that made them want to invest in me by helping me out. And so they're the ones who gave me the amazing opportunity to have the space that I have now. But then that's when I made the 3rd change. And I think that this is the hardest change that you have to make in your life. And that is that you have to choose to believe in yourself. And I mean, take it from me. Remember, back in December, I was a mess. I felt like such a loser. I had no confidence. Look, it's one thing to shift your focus onto achieving your dream. It's one thing to make an investment in yourself, to spend your money on yourself. That's a gamble. That's a risk that you take. It's a really hard thing to choose to believe in yourself, because most of us spend pretty much our entire lives choosing not to believe in ourselves. And that's why we just end up daydreaming about owning our businesses, traveling the world, doing all the things that we want to do, but we don't ever actually do them because we don't believe that we can actually do them. If you don't believe in yourself, why would anybody else? Choosing to believe in yourself takes confidence. Confidence is not an easy thing to have in yourself. Even when I was at the farmers markets, I really didn't have that much confidence in myself. I hated sitting at the market when somebody would come and buy one of my cookies or my Pop-Tarts and then they would eat it right in front of me. I was too afraid to watch people eat my food because I didn't believe in it. I was so afraid. I always thought they're gonna spit it out. They're gonna say something bad. It didn't even matter if I sold out that day. I still didn't believe that they were good. I did not believe in myself. So what I did is I took a moment to sit with myself, and I thought about all the times that I had given so much of my time and so much of my energy to other people and other businesses. I decided I'm tired of making my dreams my side gig. I want my dream to be what I do every day. I want it to be my life. Because the truth is, I have been wanting to own my own cafe for 8 years. During those 8 years, I never made these 3 changes in my life. And that's the difference. I made that last change in March of 2021, and 3 months later in June, I opened the doors to my cafe. And that's how in 10 months, I went from that first day at the farmer's market in September 2020, when I barely sold any of the pastries that I made, to 10 months from then, opening my own cafe and selling out of my pastries every single day. I really hope that you choose to make those 3 changes in your life today if you want to see your dreams come true. Thanks for watching my video and hearing my story. I'm really looking forward to sharing more about my journey to being a small business owner with all of you. So honestly, I'm new to this. If you have any questions or other things you want to learn about my business or my journey or help motivate you, leave a comment and that'll help me know what video I should make next.